I always forget how tall you are.
Me too, unfortunately, which means I bang my head quite a lot. Thank you.
When is the Miranda reunion?
Starting with season 6, that's Tom Welling coming to make sure Charlotte's back, he's gone. Where is he at?
Sorry, one more time.
Where's Lucy picking up his story from 6?
Well, we pick up exactly where we left off. Lucifer's stuck in the desert with his wings. He does manage to get his way back to Los Angeles, and his main mission is to find out who's behind it all. He's absolutely convinced it's Dad, but also he believes Dad never gets his own hands dirty, so he must be using some kind of emissary. That's basically his kind of like focused mission. And then, the main sort of theme of this year is about identity, because the wings mean an awful lot to Lucifer. Not just that he looks like an angel and all that sort of stuff, but it's about his father's perception and control of Lucifer. And Lucifer doesn't want to be defined by anyone other than himself. And so as hard as he believes his dad is pushing back to say, you are this, Lucifer's going to push back even harder in the other direction. So I think the result of that means that we might get some extra devilish behaviour.
So we met Mom. Everybody met Dad.
Well, we thought we met him last year. Never say never on this show, for sure. I don't know if we would get to meet him this year, but if we do, I would be very excited about it. But yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, honestly, like, I don't really know beyond the first or second episode of what we're doing at the moment.
How would you imagine that conversation
with his dad? Well, that was the good thing about the God Johnson episode, I thought, because Lucifer actually did get to say what he wanted to say to his dad. Unfortunately, the response he got, he believes, isn't what his dad would have said to him when he realises it isn't Dad. Very complicated answer. So, yeah.
Do you know anything about your dynamic with Tom Welling's character yet? It sounds like it'll be very antagonistic.
Well, yeah, I do know that obviously he's the new lieutenant of the police force, and Lucifer doesn't have the most respect for authority, but at the same time, Lucifer does have a lot of respect for the detective, and I think the detective and the lieutenant start to spark somewhat. And whilst they're sparking with each other, you can only imagine how that sparks Lucifer.
Right. So stand closer together because they might have, somebody they both kind of like look at suspiciously.
I hope so, because any opportunity I get to work with Kevin, we just love it. Because that is a really fun dynamic, and I've really enjoyed the times that we've shed the disrespect and we've found a connection, and that's been really fun. So if we do get to do that, that'll be great.
I'm always interested in actor process, and you have such a great cadence. Here's when you're talking announcers, but how is that process? Did you find that process and when you're doing a character?
Well, I think a lot of it's in the writing, and initially in the pilot script, it had this cadence to it, and that was something that I really sort of tapped into. It just had a rhythm about it, and I'm, intrinsically as a person, music is a big part of my life, and rhythm is a big part of my life, subsequently. So it is quite interesting to sort of find that cadence, and then our writers tap into it quite easily as well. So it's a lot of fun to deliver once I get it down.
That's great to hear.
So do you know if Will is going to play another supernatural character, or is he going to be just dickish?
The lieutenant?
Yeah.
Oh, I think he's just a human. Yeah, no, I think he's just a human.
So you will mistake him for an emissary?
Oh no. I think those are two different cars. But no, I mean, as you know, Lucifer is suspicious of most people, so we'll see how that plays out.
When Chloe does actually find out the entire truth about Lucifer, how do you think that's going to change their dynamic, their relationship?
I don't know. It's the honest answer. I mean, it was obviously huge for Dr. Linda, but then Dr. Linda is used to kind of like having to deal with that as part of her job, and I think it could be the biggest curveball in the world for Chloe, and she just wants out of it, or it could be the opposite, and she might be really understanding and accepting of it. I think I've always thought of that relationship a little bit like Beauty and the Beast, but it would be the reverse. It would be the prince turning into the beast, and does she still love him then? Can I ask a question?
We walk that line between good and bad for a couple seasons, and the producer said, well, his wing's back, he doesn't want to do what he's supposed to do. So how are you going to walk that line back to evil? Do you think you will sort of lean into what's sort of...
I think, you know, instinctively Lucifer has got this kind of like, I wouldn't say evil, but like this kind of careless abandon about if he wants to do something, he'll just do it. And consequentially, he doesn't really think that far ahead. You know, I think he will definitely be pushing towards the darker side of Lucifer at times this season, for sure.
You are an accomplished musician.
It's going to be up to the last question.
How much influence did you have for Lucifer playing and singing a lot in the show?
Well, initially in the pilot, I mean, he had his piano, and you know, if you do any sort of research about the character of Lucifer over time, is that, you know, he's a big appreciator of music, and that, you know, that for him is almost a language, and he can connect with people about that. That's why that Father Frank episode was so great, because they had this mutual connection. The fact that the singing side of things, that sort of was a happy accident, really. It came from a social night out with our team of writers, and we ended up in a karaoke bar. And I think I blasted out Mustang Sally, and they were like,
Yes.
"Hold on a minute, we need to put this in the show." So lo and behold, it became, you know, the opening of, I think, episode 6 in the first season, and then we've tried to sort of dot it in along the way. There is a really fun episode coming up in season 3 that takes place in Vegas. I think it depends how this episode goes down that I've just referenced, but there's an episode in this season that takes place in Las Vegas that has one of my favourite sequences that we've shot on the show. If people respond well to it, I'm going to push heavily for a musical episode.
Thank you so much. Thank you.